Welcome to the podcast in video form. Voted one of the best in the marketing research industry in 2019 and 2020, and now designated this year as one of YouTube's very best locations for market research news by the organization known as FeedSpot. This is Research Business Daily Report. We're seen most Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays presenting a news item that has not been seen or heard before. We do rely on viewer support, and we'll talk to you about that at the end of today's video. I'm Bob Lederer, in my 27th year as the respected voice in market research. First off, welcome back from our Memorial Day weekend. I hope it was a good one for you. Whenever possible, RBDR attempts to present stories and points of view that are of most interest to you, and that usually involves clients relying on valued research to do their job and do it well. Today is one of those days, and we thank PCMagazine features editor Eric Griffith for that. He told us about his decades of surveys for PCMag's Reader's Choice Awards that was transformed from something done with an outside research agency to an internal, mostly DIY process. It has gone smoothly and it has saved a lot of money for Griffith, so much so that other departments inside the magazine have adopted his ways. One notably is the so-called Business Choice Awards. Eric appeared to have nothing to hide as we spoke, providing detail after detail about how he conducts his reader surveys, how he's learned to make it work for him, and giving credit to the help of an outside DIY survey vendor. Eric?
It's been over 30 years that PCMag has been running the Reader's Choice Survey. It's gone under other names occasionally, like the Service and Tech Support Survey, and that's what it was primarily about back in the day. Now it is more of a look at the favorite brands that people have for select different product categories. We do anywhere from 12 to 16 surveys a year, depending on the lineup that we'd like to do. Back during COVID, we dropped way back. Now we're back up to the full 16 for 2022. We used a third-party company for several years when I first started doing Reader's Choice, and they were charging us around $35,000 to $40,000 a year to do the 12 to 16 surveys. A few years ago, I started breaking out some of the smaller surveys and using SurveyMonkey, and that worked pretty well, but it wasn't my favorite tool. Then, based on a review I saw on PCMag.com that recommended SurveyGizmo, I talked my boss into letting me try that. Later, SurveyGizmo changed their name to Alchemer, but it has been serving us in excellent stead since around 2018. We've been building almost all of the surveys that we do for PCMag, at least in Reader's Choice and Business Choice, in that tool. And I've really enjoyed learning it, and I think I've kind of mastered everything I need to know about it, at least for my personal surveys. I would say I'm a relatively quick study with most technology things, and learning Alchemer might have been a little bit more of a learning curve because it was not something I had actively done a lot of, except for the SurveyMonkey trials, let's say. But Alchemer made it pretty simple. They have really good tutorials. They have excellent customer service that was very helpful in helping me figure out where the limits were on things that I wanted to be able to do. And overall, I got it down, I think, to a science. There is always a chance that somebody's going to come along and ask me to do something that I absolutely haven't tried before. And I'm willing to do that now because I'm very comfortable in Alchemer. I don't think I saw too many major hiccups outside of there being interface issues where I was hoping to be able to say, have the pages look a certain way, and Alchemer's limitations there might have been a little more upsetting, but not in any way that was a deal breaker. You know, it would be nice to, like, say, have if you're doing something on a scale of 1 to 10, would it be nice to maybe have a slider rather than just clicking off a bunch of check buttons? Sure. I think sometimes that would be handy. I didn't always have that ability to find that. And the question types that they have, while plentiful, are certainly not infinite on Alchemer. So that being said, we've settled into a groove with how they look. And I think not only as the builder of the surveys does it work for me, I think I'd like to hope that it is working for the respondents who are taking our surveys. We do one open-ended question with every product type, where we will ask at the end the likelihood to recommend question. Would they tell somebody that they should get this? And that question is also used to create a net promoter score, which we also follow up with and do an extra story based on the net promoter score. And then after that, we'll ask, have you had a good experience or a bad experience? Please let us know. We sometimes use those responses in our survey results. So when we write them up, especially if there's something incredibly colorful or pithy that somebody had to say, for the most part, it is not a big deal for us. We tend to make it a very data-driven, number-oriented result for our stories. My experience with Alchemer led to some other people asking to get involved with using the tool. In fact, so much that our audience analytics group has taken over the actual billing internally on it. So it's not actually coming out of editorial anymore. So they are using it quite a bit. I don't think anybody's using it quite as much as I am, but they definitely use it for very big surveys that they're putting together. They actually are doing one right now on parenting and computing. And I had some input on that to try to help them come up with some new questions. And we will probably do many, many stories coming up on that particular topic from all the results that they get. We do mainly emails to our newsletter lists, and we also put links, however, in our newsletter on the homepage at PCMag. There's various stories on the site that might have links to the current surveys. Anything we can do that specifically targets readers, we will do it to try and drive the response for the surveys. We are hitting lists for our What's New Now newsletter and a couple of other lists that I'm occasionally allowed to use. We're probably hitting anywhere from 250 to 400,000 people almost weekly, and we still don't get a huge response. It's anywhere from 2,000 completes to 10,000 completes, and it depends a lot on the topic. If it's a product that not everybody knows that they have or doesn't have, say routers, it's not a huge response rate. But when we ask about smartphones, everybody's got a smartphone, everybody's got an opinion about it. When we ask about ISPs, everybody's got an ISP, and they have very strong opinions about their ISPs. So they are willing to jump in and give us responses there, and we'll see much higher numbers. We are definitely doing as much survey work editorially for Reader's Choice and Business Choice. We also do a lot of data-driven stories using other things beyond surveys, like our fastest ISP story and our fastest mobile network story, which do a lot of data collection from other things. But as far as the survey goes, as used by our audience analytics team, we are using stuff that they pull in and create graphics for to make other stories that we run on PCMag.com. And those are also used in other parts of the company. Mashable, which is our sister site, also generates stories based on a lot of that stuff that audience analytics or marketing might put together. So I think overall, you'll find a lot of the editorial outlets out there love these kinds of stories. We have a regular feature we call the Y Access, WHY access. That is a great way to look at different infographics that we get pitched all the time. We get the coolest looking charts and things sent to us, and it gives us an excuse to write them up and feature them. I just did one that was all about a collection of somebody looking through the scores on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes to rate all the Star Wars movies. Which ones sucked? Which ones didn't? Which ones do people love on Disney Plus? Which ones do they hate on Disney Plus? And that's a great excuse to write about Star Wars when there's a new Star Wars TV show coming out and have some great graphics on the site.
That wraps up today's Research Business Daily Reports. Now, as we mentioned at the start of today's video, we'd love for you to become a supporter of our video, which means basically providing us and agreeing to provide us with a monthly contribution, the size of which is entirely up to you. Generally speaking, individual viewers will give us $5 or $10 a month, and companies will provide us with $25 or more, sometimes as much as $100 a month. Please visit our exclusive crowdfunding platform, no matter what your notation or considerations might be. It's at patreon.com/RBDR, where you can personally select the level of support that you think we deserve. We thank you in advance for whatever that might be. We hope you have a good research day, and we'll be looking back to see you here on Friday. Until then, please stay safe.